Are you a good person? I want you to answer that question right now, in your head. Not for me, for yourself. Are you a good person? Most of you said yes without hesitating. Some of you said yes, but something flickered behind it. A doubt, a memory, a moment you don't talk about. And a few of you, the honest ones, paused because you were not sure anymore. You used to be sure. 20 years ago, you would have answered immediately, yes, I am a good person. I go to church. I raised my children. I pay my bills. I help when I can. I treat people right. That list felt like proof, like a receipt you could hand to God and say, see, I did everything right. But somewhere in the last few years, the list stopped feeling like enough. The receipt started looking thin. And a question crept in that you didn't invite and can't seem to silence. Am I actually good? Or did I just follow the rules well enough to look good? That is the question I want to sit with you today, because the truth about being a good person is not what you were taught. And if you are willing to stay with me for the next few minutes, I am going to challenge everything you believe about your own goodness. Not to hurt you, to free you. Because carrying the weight of an identity you are not sure you earned is one of the heaviest things a person can carry in their final years. The first truth is that most of what you call goodness was not a choice. It was programming. Think about it. You were taught to be polite. You were taught to share. You were taught to say please and thank you and sorry and excuse me. You were taught to go to church. You were taught to help your neighbor. You were taught to respect your elders. You were taught to work hard and not complain and put others first. And you did all of those things, faithfully, for decades, and you called it being good. But here is the question nobody asks. Did you do those things because you believed in them, or because you were afraid of what would happen if you didn't? Because those are very different motivations. One is goodness, the other is compliance. And compliance looks identical to goodness from the outside. The person who helps their neighbor because they genuinely care about their neighbor, and the person who helps their neighbor because they are afraid of being seen as the person who didn't help. Those two people perform the same action, but they are not the same person. One is good, the other is obedient. And obedience is not goodness. Obedience is fear wearing a good costume. I knew a woman who everyone in the community called the kindest woman alive. She volunteered at the church. She brought meals to the sick. She organized every funeral reception, every bake sale, every community event. She was the first to arrive and the last to leave. And if you asked anyone, they would have told you she was the best person they knew. But I watched her closely, because my grandmother taught me to watch people when they think nobody is looking. And what I saw was different from what the community saw. I saw a woman who was not kind. She was desperate. Desperate to be seen as kind. Desperate to be needed. Desperate to be praised. Her volunteering was not generosity. It was a transaction. She gave her time and her labor in exchange for approval. And the proof was in what happened when the approval didn't come. When someone forgot to thank her, she raged privately for days. When another woman received praise for something she felt she deserved credit for, she became bitter and cold. When a new family moved into the community and didn't immediately recognize her importance, she froze them out until they learned. That is not goodness. That is a performance of goodness, powered by the desperate need to be seen. And the community never saw it because the performance was flawless. The meals arrived on time. The events were organized perfectly. The smile never dropped in public. But behind the smile was not love. Behind the smile was a terrified woman who believed, at her core, that she was worthless without the approval of others. And every act of so-called kindness was a brick in the wall she built between herself and that belief. I tell you that story not to judge her. I tell you because some version of her lives in you. Maybe a large version, maybe a small one. But somewhere in your history of being good, there are acts that were performed not for love, but for the audience. And I am asking you today to look at those acts honestly, not to shame yourself, to know yourself. Because a person who knows the difference between their genuine goodness and their performed goodness is a person who can finally stop performing. And stopping the performance is the doorway to actual goodness, the kind that doesn't need a witness. I want to go deeper into this because the compliance thing is bigger than most people realize. Think about the big decisions in your life, the ones you are most proud of, your marriage, your career, your parenting choices, your faith. Now ask yourself an uncomfortable question. How many of those decisions were actually yours? How many of them did you make because you genuinely believed they were right? And how many did you make because they were expected? Because your family expected them? Because your community expected them? Because the time period you grew up in had a script and you followed it? You got married because that is what people did. You had children because that is what married people did. You went to church because that is what families did. You worked the same job for 30 years because that is what responsible men did. You sacrificed your own desires because that is what good women did. And all of it looked like goodness. All of it was praised as goodness. But some of it, maybe more than you want to admit, was simply the path of least resistance dressed up as virtue. The truly good choice and the expected choice happen to be the same thing. And you will never know, you can never know, whether you were being good or being obedient, because the two roads ran together for so long that you cannot tell where one ends and the other begins. This is not a reason for shame. This is the condition of every human being who grew up inside a culture with rules and expectations. We are all part compliance and part genuine goodness, and the ratio is different for everyone, and the honest ones admit they don't know their own ratio. The dishonest ones insist they are 100% genuine. Nobody is 100% genuine. Not me, not you, not the saint in the stained glass window. We are all a mixture. And the work of your final years, the real spiritual work, is not to become good. It is to sort through what you already did and figure out which parts were real. That sorting is painful, because some things you were proud of will turn out to have been performances, and some things you dismissed as ordinary will turn out to have been your finest moments. The time you helped someone and told nobody. The time you bit your tongue when you had every right to speak. The time you chose kindness, not because anyone would know, but because you couldn't sleep otherwise. Those quiet, uncounted moments might be the only truly good things you have ever done. And they are enough. They are more than enough. Before I share the next teaching, I need to tell you something. I am not going to be here forever. And most of what I know was never written anywhere. So I sat down and I wrote it. All of it. 20 teachings, 4 parts, in the order they were meant to be received. The ones about knowing who you really are. The ones about finding truth beneath the performance. The ones I have never said on camera. It is called The Native Way, and it costs less than one dinner you will not remember. Scan the code on your screen or look in the comments. But do not leave yet, because what I am about to say next is the part that separates the people who think they are good from the people who actually are. The second truth is that goodness is not measured by what you did. It is measured by what you did when it cost you something. Anyone can be good when it is easy. Anyone can be generous when they have plenty. Anyone can be kind when they are comfortable. Anyone can forgive when the offense was small. The test of actual goodness is not the easy moment. It is the hard one. Did you help when helping cost you something real? Not your spare change, your time when you had none, your energy when you were exhausted, your forgiveness when the wound was deep enough to justify holding the grudge for the rest of your life. Did you choose kindness when cruelty would have felt better? Did you choose honesty when the lie would have protected you? Did you choose love when love was the most inconvenient option on the table? That is where goodness lives, not in the easy giving, in the costly giving. And if you are honest with yourself, the costly giving has been rare, not because you are bad, because costly giving is rare in everyone. It is the hardest thing a human being can do. And most of the time, when the cost gets high enough, most people, including you, including me, choose the easier path and find a way to call it good. My grandfather was a genuinely good man, not because he volunteered or went to ceremonies or followed every rule, because I watched him make costly choices that nobody ever saw. I watched him give food to a family that had stolen from him the year before, not publicly, quietly, in the dark, without telling anyone, without expecting gratitude, without even expecting the stealing to stop. He just saw that they were hungry and he had food, and the equation was simple to him. They need it. I have it. The past is the past. That is goodness, not the act of giving food. The act of giving food to the person who wronged you, without an audience, without a receipt, without the need to be thanked or acknowledged or praised. That is what goodness looks like when it is real, and it is uncomfortable. Because real goodness doesn't feel righteous, it doesn't feel proud, it often feels foolish. My grandfather probably felt foolish carrying food to a family that stole from him, but he did it anyway, because his goodness was not a performance. It was a constitution. It was who he was when nobody was watching, and nothing was at stake except his own integrity. I want to talk about the goodness that nobody sees, because that is where the real test lives. What do you do when you are completely alone? How do you treat the person who can do nothing for you? How do you speak about people who are not in the room? How do you behave in the moments that will never be reported, never be praised, never be witnessed by a single human being? Those moments are the truth of your character. Everything else is theater. The donation you made publicly, the help you gave in front of others, the kindness you performed where someone could see it and remember it and think well of you for it. All theater. Useful theater. Helpful theater. But theater. The real goodness is the thing you did in the dark, for no reason, for no reward. Simply because something inside you said this is right, and you listened. My grandmother had a test for this. She said, if nobody would ever know, would you still do it? If the person you helped could never thank you, if the donation was anonymous forever, if the kindness was invisible to every eye on earth, including your own family's, would you still do it? And if the answer is yes, that is goodness. And if the answer is no, if you wouldn't bother unless someone could see it, that is not goodness. That is marketing. You are not being good. You are building a brand. And the brand is called good person. And the brand requires constant maintenance and constant approval and constant visibility. And the day the visibility stops, the goodness stops with it. Because it was never goodness. It was advertising. I want to talk about the dark side of being a good person. Because nobody talks about this, and it needs to be said. Some of you have used your goodness as a weapon, not intentionally, but effectively. You have used your track record of being good to win arguments. I have given you everything. After everything I've done for you, I was always there for you, and this is how you repay me. Those sentences are not expressions of goodness, they are invoices. You are presenting a bill for services rendered and demanding payment. And the payment you demand is compliance, agreement, gratitude on your schedule in the amount you decide. That is not goodness. That is a loan disguised as a gift. A truly good act has no strings, no expectation of return, no memory of itself that can be weaponized later. The moment you use a past kindness as leverage in a current conflict, you reveal that the kindness was never free. It was an investment, and you are here to collect. I have done this. I am not above it. I have been kind to people and then felt entitled to their loyalty because of my kindness. I have helped someone and then felt betrayed when they didn't help me back. I have given and kept score, and every time I did it, I had to face the uncomfortable truth that my giving was not as pure as I wanted to believe. There was a hook in it, a small one, sometimes invisible even to me, but it was there. And the hook is what separates generosity from transaction, goodness from commerce, real love from a deal you didn't know you were making. I want to tell you about a man I knew named Earl, who was the most generous man in our community on the surface. Earl gave to everyone, money, time, labor. His truck was always available. His wallet was always open. His Saturday mornings were always spent helping someone with something, and the community praised Earl endlessly. Earl is the best. Earl would give you the shirt off his back. Earl is the most generous man alive. And Earl absorbed that praise like sunlight. He needed it the way a plant needs water. And then one day Earl helped a young family move into their new home, spent the entire weekend, his back, his truck, his time, and the family thanked him and went about their lives. And a few months later, Earl asked that family for a small favor. Could their son help him clear some brush from his yard? A few hours of work. And the family said they were busy that weekend. They didn't even offer an alternative. Just busy, sorry. And Earl erupted. Not publicly, privately. He called 3 different people that week and told them about the family's ingratitude. He said, "After everything I did for them, they can't give me one afternoon." And I watched Earl's entire goodness reveal itself in that moment. It was an economy. Every act of generosity was a deposit in an account that Earl expected to withdraw from later. And when the withdrawal was denied, the account was closed with anger. Earl was not generous. Earl was investing, and his currency was favors. And the return he expected was loyalty, availability, and praise. When the return didn't come, the investor revealed himself, and the generous man was nowhere to be found. I tell you Earl's story because Earl is in all of us. The part that gives and expects, the part that helps and remembers, the part that sacrifices and keeps the receipt in a drawer just in case we need it someday. The question is not whether that part exists in you. It does. The question is, how much of your goodness is Earl and how much is real? And only you can answer that. In the quiet, in the dark, where no one is watching, and the only audience is your own conscience. I also want to say something that may surprise you. It is okay to not be as good as you thought you were. I want you to hear that. It is okay. The discovery that some of your goodness was performance, and some of your generosity was transaction, and some of your sacrifice was compliance, is not a failure. It is a graduation. You are graduating from the illusion of your own perfection into the reality of your own humanity. And humanity is not perfect. It is messy and mixed and contradictory and beautiful precisely because it is all of those things at once. You can be a person who genuinely loves people and also kept score sometimes. You can be a person who made real sacrifices and also wanted credit for them. You can be a person who was truly kind on Tuesday, and truly selfish on Wednesday, and truly brave on Thursday, and truly afraid on Friday. All of those things live inside one person, inside you. And the good person is not the one who eliminates the bad parts. The good person is the one who sees all of it, owns all of it, and keeps choosing the harder right thing over the easier wrong thing. Not perfectly, not every time, but more often than not, and with increasing honesty about the times they fail. So are you a good person? I am not going to answer that for you, but I will give you the test my grandmother gave me. She said a good person is not someone who never does wrong. A good person is someone who sees themselves clearly, who knows where the performance ends and the truth begins, who has the courage to look at their own motivations and say, that one was real, but that one was for the audience. A good person is not perfect. A good person is honest. Honest about their own darkness. Honest about the times they chose the easier path. Honest about the hooks in their giving and the conditions on their love. And that honesty, that willingness to see yourself without the costume, is the beginning of actual goodness. Not the performance of it, the real thing. The quiet, invisible, unrewarded, costly, foolish, dark of night real thing that nobody sees and nobody applauds and nobody writes about in your eulogy. The goodness that exists only between you and your own integrity. That is what being a good person actually means. And it is available to you right now, today, not by doing more good things, by being more honest about the good things you already do, and letting the ones that were always for the audience fall away. What remains, however small, however humble, however imperfect, that is you, the real you. And the real you, even on your worst day, is worth more than the perfect performance on your best day. I want to leave you with something my grandmother said to me when I was young and thought I was good because I followed every rule and helped every person and never missed a ceremony. She looked at me and she said, "You do all the right things, but you do them loudly, and the loud good is never as real as the quiet good. The day you do something right and tell nobody, not even yourself, that is the day your goodness begins." I didn't understand her then. I understand her now. She was telling me that true goodness is invisible. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't keep track of itself. It doesn't even recognize itself most of the time. It just acts, quietly, in the dark, for no reason except that the action was right and the moment required it. And then it forgets. It moves on. It doesn't build an identity around itself. It doesn't say, I am a good person because I did that. It just did it, and that was enough. The doing was the whole thing. The identity was unnecessary. The receipt was unnecessary. The witness was unnecessary. Just the act, just the quiet offering, just the moment where you chose right over easy, and then walked away without looking back to see if anyone noticed. That is what being a good person actually looks like. And it has been inside you the whole time, underneath the performances, underneath the compliance, underneath the receipts and the scorekeeping and the need to be seen. Underneath all of it, there is a person who has done genuinely good things for no reason at all. Find that person. That is the person worth being for whatever years you have left. Not the performance, not the brand, the quiet one who acts in the dark and never tells a soul. That one. Be that one, and let everything else fall away. If what you heard today stayed with you, the book is there. The Native Way, 20 teachings, 100 pages, written the way I would speak to you if we were sitting together. Scan the QR code on the screen with your phone or find the link in the comments. Read one chapter. Sit with it. Now I want to hear from you. Tell me honestly in the comments, was there a moment in your life where you were good for the audience and you know it? I read every comment. And if this is the kind of conversation you have been looking for, subscribe to this channel. We are not collecting viewers here. We are collecting people who remember. Come back next week. I am not done teaching yet.